Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we've got a new bike. This one I picked up from a parts dealer up here in the States, or up here in the state of Montana. And it had already kind of gone into where they were starting to strip parts off and everything. So I actually had to reverse some of that. So I put the stuff back on that they took off, and I was just a little bit slow getting to them, and that's okay. Nothing really nothing out of the ordinary. We just had to put a few parts back: the pipe, the chain, the switch, the regulator, and carburetor. I still haven't got the carburetor back on. The pipe was still loose. So things like that had just kind of gotten started. There's one thing that's kind of a challenge to me on this thing, and it has absolutely no cables on it. I'm not sure what the deal was with that, but I've done some looking and they're like, they ain't out there. So I'm going to have to be building cables for this. So that'll be an upcoming video. We've got the choke cable, the clutch cable, the brake cable. The speedo cable is on it. I don't know that it works. And the throttle cable's oil cable. So like 5 cables that we're going to have to make from scratch. So that, like I say, that'll be an upcoming video and we'll take care of all that. But right now what we need to do is just to see if we can get spark, see if we can get it to fire. And like I say, I don't have a cable, but I've got a piece of a cable, so maybe I can kind of work the throttle a little bit if we can get it running. But as of right now, the oil delivery cable was cut on it. So I had to pull the oil pump off and reattach a cable or a hose, the oil hose. I had to reattach a new hose, and of course when I did that, it tore the gasket, but it turns out that these are the same gaskets used on the AT1, CT1, probably the DT ones. So I had that, so I was able to get that cleaned up, get it reinstalled. And we'll just go through the bleeding on that, and well, anyhow, let's just get. We'll take a quick look, and then we'll get into seeing what we can do to get this thing to fire off. Okay, I don't think I mentioned it. This is a Yamaha. I believe it is a YL2C Trailmaster, 1967, I think. I've actually done a little bit of buffing on the paint. You can see right up here, it buffs out pretty good. So I'm going to try to do some buffing. The chrome seems to be in relatively good shape. It's missing 2 badges. Those things just aren't out there. They're about 300 bucks if you can find them. It's going to need some gaiters. Who knows, usually these things have been in some kind of a wreck or something that bends the forks, so we'll probably have to do some straightening there. The tires, of course, are worn, but they look like they're probably the originals. And the rims look pretty nice. The spokes look good, so we may just be cleaning up on that. I had to run another fuel line, oil line, all that stuff because they were all cut or missing. The tank has got a failed liner in it. It looks like a cream liner. I don't know if you can see in there or not. Get a light. Yeah, it's flaking off in there, so we'll be removing that. Usually that is removable by using acetone, and a few drywall screws. So we'll be giving that some attention. The seat, it's got a nice cover on it. It's not original, but we'll probably pick one of those up. I think they're available. The shift lever is broken here, and like I say, I had to put the chain back on. It's got the big sprocket. This is before they had the switch, and it looks actually pretty complete. Need a baffle, looks like, for the pipe, but the pipe looks like it's in relatively good shape. It needs the hold downs or fasteners on both sides, one for the tank and one for the cover on the other side. Here's the new oil line. I don't know if you can see that. Down in there, I had to reroute that, put a new one on, and the fuel line. I've got all that laying down here. The carburetor was off of it already. This is the oil pump that I had to had to pull that out to get this hose back here onto it. So that's back in place. We'll just go through the bleeding on that. The clutch cable, like I say, we got to make all the cables. We do have a speedo cable. Don't know if it works though. But this is what we've got. We're just kind of starting from square one. This is one of the first tanks that I've had in a long time that doesn't have any dents. It does have some like dents from the inside, and I'm not sure what that. Maybe they shook it pretty hard with some screws or something in it. Not sure what I'm going to do about that. Probably just leave it. The controls, this is, it should be a electric start model. It's got the switch here and horn on the other side. We'll be, of course, working on all these switches and everything. I don't know what we're going to find. Like I say, here's the fuel line that I ran, and this is a vent that goes to the carburetor. So we'll be working on that. I've got the carburetor up on the bench. It was pretty nasty, so I went through it. We'll be putting it together. So all in all, I think it's in pretty darn good shape. It's just going to need some love, and I think we can handle it. These chrome springs, I think they were chrome. Maybe they were painted silver. They're probably going to get repainted silver or black or something. I just don't think it's worth trying to chrome them. Anyhow, that's where we're at. What I'm going to do first, I had to replace or reinstall the regulator, the switch. The switch doesn't have a key, and it's got some wiring gremlins here. But I believe I got everything back where it's supposed to be. We'll see. It's, you know, there's not too many wires there, and most of them are red, brown to brown, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go with this for now. Hopefully that will work. I can turn it with a screwdriver. I don't have a wiring diagram for this, so I'm just hoping I've got things where they ought to go. So the first thing I want to do is it's got the old type fuse, and if any of you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I like to go and install the late model mini fuse on these. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, and that way, I mean, I've got everything. I've even got the plastic container for that right here. So it's not something that is irreversible. You just plug it in, unplug the other one, and plug that one on. But I like those because they're a little safer and they're easier to find fuses for. Not sure what the fuse rating's supposed to be on this. Usually the electric start models, I think, run a 15 amp. I will probably put a 15 in there, but I'm going to put a 10 in, just like I always do, when from the battery to it. I'll be running a battery down here on the stand, and we'll just hook it up remotely to see if we've got any issues. So let me kind of get started here. I'm going to pull the side cover off, and then we'll see what we can do about getting spark. Okay, this is the mini fuse holder that I like to use. I buy these, a lot of them, because I use them quite a bit. I'm just going to shorten up the leads a little bit. Don't need all that. And then we'll just go ahead and hook it up with some bullets. Get our little insulator up here. So there's one. I'll go ahead and get the other one hooked up. Okay, so I've got that hooked up. I'm going to go ahead and put a 15 amp in there. But like I said, on the between the battery and the bike, I'm going to go with a 10 because I always like to go just a little bit less, so that if there's a problem, any problem, it'll take care of it before we absolutely ruin something. We'll go ahead and plug this in. Like I say, there's nothing here that we can't reverse. You just unplug this one, plug the old one back in. I'm going to leave this open so I can see if it blows. And like I say, this stuff is kind of loose. I hope it'll hold up long enough. I'll have to try to find a switch. But for now, I think everything's there. Just hopefully it'll stay put for me. Let me go see if I can find a battery, and we'll hook that up and see if we've got smoke or not. Like it's kind of, dowel pin's probably kind of got it stuck a little bit. I've got a kind of a gap here, so I think it's, oh, I've still got a screw. That's my issue. Gee whiz. Thought I had them all out of there. That's still. You want to be careful of these, because I'm sure these are not easy to find and expensive if you do. And this one seems to be in good shape. There we go. These dowel pins on a lot of these bikes, they get corroded. There we go. Yeah. These pins here. Okay. Let's just do a little looking before we do anything. Okay, let's go ahead and pull our plug. Well, that's already loose. Yeah. Okay. I don't think you can see, but I tell you, I see something right now that's, I'm not sure that you'll be able to see it. Look how wide that point gap is. Does it even close? Yeah, it looks like it is, but I don't think it'll run there. That's, gee willikers. That's probably 50 thousandths or so. I don't know what, I just have no specs for this thing at all. I'm just going to have to go with what I think I know. First of all, I guess before we get into it too much, since we've got a wide gap that my filer will almost go into, I'll just go ahead and file. So we'll clean that up a little bit. But that's way too wide. I think this probably should be around 12 or 13. I'm just not sure. Okay, let me get some spray and we'll clean it. And we'll just use a little contact cleaner there. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think that'd ever run. Let's close that up a little bit. Let's see where we're at. I've got my feeler gauge, 12 thousandths, 0.30 millimeters. We'll try that. Still needs to come in a little bit. Ooh, got some metal stuck to my screwdriver there. That's pretty close. Let me tighten it up a little and see where we're at. Yeah, it ought to run there. That's a loose 12. We're tight. See, these help the electric starter. They're a little sticky. Yeah, they're kind of sticky. Yeah. Looks like we're connected properly here. So let's see here. Okay, let me get a battery hooked up. I've got it down here. See if I can get you so you can see here. Okay, I've just got a black and a red lead here. I'm going to take the red one and we're going to take it up here to the battery. Well, it should be the battery. That's the red one, and the black one to the negative side. That should be the two wires that go to the battery. And we've got our fuse in there. And here's my kind of universal that I use. It's got a 10 fuse in it right now. So we'll hook that up to the positive side. See if I can touch anything here that's going to cause an issue. Okay, you're going to go ahead and hook that up. Right here to the positive side of the battery. This has come out of one of my other bikes. And then we'll take the negative and well, everything good so far. I don't have the switch on yet. Okay. Sorry, all the moving around here. Now let's turn that switch to. Oh, we've got a horn. I saw a wire off of that thing, and I just put a screw in it right here. So that must be why that's going the way it is. Let's see if I'm gonna have to find a Phillips screwdriver again. That's why they had the screw off. Yeah, that wire was off of there, and I just wondered. I thought maybe they were starting to take the horn off. That explains that. All right, let's see what happened now. Oh, looks like I'm seeing a spark, but it must be in gear. Keeps wanting to roll forward, or lurch forward. There we go. Well, it did it again. Well, it's still wanting to. I'm trying to think. This is probably a 4-speed, and all the gears are down, so maybe it's all the way up. Yeah, apparently it's all the way up. So there we go. We got a good hot fire. Okay. It would have never run with that gap as big as it was. Okay, we've got fire. The next objective is getting the carburetor back on. We'll go up to the bench and put it together. Okay, I had a dickens of a time getting this slide out of this one. I soaked it quite a bit with Kroll oil, and that just wasn't doing it. And then I thought, well, it's probably varnish, so I stuck some lacquer thinner in it, and that didn't seem to help a whole lot either, at least not very quickly. So what I ended up doing was just taking my propane torch and just lightly heating this area here and pulling on it, and it finally did let go. So that's what it was. There was a lot of varnish around the needle and also on the slide, mostly towards the bottom here. So sometimes if you've got one that you can't get apart, you might try that, but be very cautious. Don't heat this up too much. And if you've got this phenolic insert right here, be sure you're not heating that up, because that's going to be your seal. So I was able to get everything apart on this, and here's the pieces of the cable I have. So I'll be utilizing those somehow. So we'll go ahead and kind of stick this thing back together. I've made sure everything was clear. The pilot jet came out reasonably easy. It's always, you always kind of worry a little bit when you're messing with those on an old carburetor, but just a constant pressure and using the gunsmithing screwdrivers, and it came out. So tip there on the gunsmithing screwdrivers. All right, and the little plunger works good. That goes in, and I'm just going to put a little oil on my, oh yeah, that's the pilot jet. The best that you can get a screwdriver to fit in those slots, the better you are, and don't tighten them up very tight. And let's see, get the needle jet in. I'll put a little oil on it too. My neighbor's got one of those Honda mowers, and they're just terrible about hunting. They just sit there, and there's a pretty easy fix to them where you can just open up the jet just a little bit, and they'll just take off and run. Let's see. I don't know that you can hear it or not. I sure can. It bugs me. All right, now we've got our float here. Oops, goes this way. I think they had tried to put some fuel in the carburetor, but it just wasn't having it, so. And that seems kind of low, or actually high, but yeah, I think that's gonna, it's just weird. It's almost like maybe it's not the right car or float. Like I say, I have no data on it, but it sure, the way it contacts this here, see how far down it's pointed? I'm just sure that's the right way it goes in, but you can see it's been running that way. You've got a witness mark here. It looks to me like it would work better this way, but it's sure been in the other way. I don't see a witness mark on this side. Huh. Let me do a little looking here. Okay, I think it's got to go that way. This here little area here would hit the front of the needle or the front of the seat if you turned it around. I'm sure it is, because usually these limiters are always on the bottom so that it keeps it from dropping down. So we'll try it. If we've got problems, then we'll deal with them. All right, so we'll go ahead. We've got everything there, so we'll get our float bowl back on. And just before I turned the key off, I went ahead and tried the electric start button, and it does not work. So there's some issue there somewhere. So we'll be addressing that at some point. Oh, I was looking over here for it. The needle goes right here. The air screw. Well, there's no threads in those. Yeah, all right. You got me. Okay, we'll just back that out about a turn and a half to start with, and we'll see how that works for us. And we'll take that over. I think this stuff here, like I say, a lot of this stuff was in a box, so I'm not real sure how it all goes together. Spring maybe goes up there, and then does it operate off of this piece here? I bet it does. Okay, that looks right. Okay, I guess we'll go back over to the bike and see if we can get this thing mounted. Okay, had to go take care of it. My dogs were barking at something out there, and got out there and there was a badger. So had to shoot that thing and take care of the dogs before they ended up tore up. Okay, so we're going to bleed this, and I just pull this, and we're kind of watching to make sure all the air gets out of the line up here towards the reservoir. I'm still seeing a little air bubble once in a while there. Okay, that looks like a pretty steady stream. So we'll get that taken care of. And next thing I generally do is loosen that. And remember, there's a spring in there and a ball. And I just take my little pump with some Yamaha lube in it, hold it against it, and I shoot oil in there until the line's full. And I want that spring. I want to put that in the ball's still in there, but it's best to put that spring right there, and the ball is going to fit right against it. And that's your check ball. That's it keeps the oil from draining out when it's not running. Just make sure you hold pressure on that line or it's liable to break. Stuff's all so fragile at this point. Okay. Now I'm gonna spin the priming wheel here, and I'm gonna set you up. Hopefully you can see after I get it some light in there. Let's see if this will work. I just don't know. There's a little, I think these are too bright. Let me get a different light. Okay, I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, but there's a little pin sticking up there, and we're gonna crank this wheel till we see oil popping up out of it. I think that's it. I just don't know whether you can see it or not. Yeah, I can see the oil is starting to run down right here. So it's pretty sure it is. I can't see because the camera's my way. So I'm going to pull you away and verify that myself. No, it's not doing it yet. So let me just keep after it here a little bit. Okay, let's try it again. So I've got the pump held open right now, so that I'm seeing it. I just don't know that you can see it. It's way back there. Yeah, it's just shooting out of the top of it. Got a lot of oil there. Okay, so we'll let the pump go back, and let's see what we can do with the carburetor now. Okay, I went ahead and put the starter jet in there and the slide. I think it's going to work a little better for me maybe. Okay, that's slid on. And these have got a screw on it to tighten it up back here in the back. Actually right here through that hole with a standard screwdriver. Unlike the Kawasaki that I've been working on, it doesn't. All right, so maybe that'll, feels like it's okay. So I've just got a couple little pieces of cable up here that I can operate. So we'll see how that all goes. And we've still got to get our fuel line. Let's see, this is the vent, and probably a little long here, yeah. Okay, so let me get something to cut that with, and I'm going to have to change the camera battery here. Okay, I think it's going to be easier to, with the carburetor out here. I'm going to put a clamp on that and then go ahead and start it. Just think it's going to be easier to do than try to mess around with it in there. Of course, I put the clamp right in my way. Okay. This is a very tight clamp. I like them that way, but they're difficult to get on. You gotta squeeze it and kind of push down on the other side of it. Oops. Hopefully I've got it there on the brake pedal. I think I got it. Okay, got that on. I'm just going to reach across here, I think, and pull the slack in as I try to get the carburetor back on the mount. And I've got the vent line yet to get on. That shouldn't be quite the chore. This just vents, I think it goes underneath the seat there. I had to cut off a little bit of it. It was broken here at the end. Okay, so I can get this tightened back up to the engine there. All right, so I think everything's hooked up. And we've got oil where it needs to be. So the next thing to do is put a plug in it and see if we can get some fuel. I've got to go out and get fuel. Okay, I've got a little premix here. And even though the oil pump should be working, it's looking like it's working anyway. We do want to run premix anyway. So I'll go ahead and turn this, let the fuel's going in. Let's go around the other side. Okay, I see it in the line and I don't see anything running out, so that's a good sign. So we should be, looks like it's quit running, so it should be full. Okay. Okay, I am leaking out of the hose fitting here in the bottom. So I'm going to have to go pull that back off and see what's going on. I just shut the fuel off, so it just quit. It looked to me like it was way too high. I haven't, like I say, I have no specs, so I don't know what we need to do there. But looks like I probably need to lower it. So let me get to that. Okay guys, I got the, I went in and I don't know if you remember or not, that tang on the float was kind of sticking at like a 90-degree angle. I think it's either the wrong float or it needed a dog leg put on it. So I went ahead and put a dog leg on it, and now it's lifting up and it's sealing. I've got the fuel back on and everything seems to be working okay. So I'm gonna have to delve into this and see what the deal is with the float, but I believe it's gonna work as of now. So let's see if we can get it to run. All right, let's get our, we've got fuel. And we need to get sparks, so we've got to have this hooked back up. Let's see here, we got this one going to the positive. And this one going to our negative. And we just need to, oh, one thing I was going to show you is that's probably why the throttle wasn't working. It was all frayed up here. So we'll be making those cables. It's just nothing but a thing. All right, let's see. Let's get our power. Now let's get plug here first. Let's just try this old plug and see if it'll work. There's more than likely going to be a little extra fuel down inside there. I'm not even going to tighten it up. I kind of probably expect to have to do something with it. I don't know, let me try it by hand. It's got some pretty good compression. Oh, you know what? I didn't turn the switch on. I heard you guys out there kind of yelling at me. That might make the difference. I've got lights on up here in the speedometer. It says it's in neutral now. See if we got fire. I don't think we've got fuel there yet. Yep, we got fire. It got me. Let me get my fuel squirter and I'll squirt some in there. Let me bring that up. Try that. Well, I think I'm gonna have to put some in there. I'm not prepared, guys. All right, see if I got, yeah, got some squirt there now. Well, yeah, looks like I'm leaking again. Okay, started right up, but the fuel's still leaking. Actually, I think it's stopped now. Yeah, it's stopped now. I think there's a lot of oil and fuel down in it. I think it's starting to clear out now. sounded like it ran out of gas, but it was starting to clear out finally. Let me show you the mess it's making down here. See all this draining out of the exhaust? So that's probably why. The fuel's still on. But it's a runner. Let me look at all the crap coming out of this is from the seat. It's all that foam. I'm going to back this back up just a little bit and see if it'll run. Pretty good. Starting to clear out a little. Too much air, but we needed the air to clear out the fuel. Slap or anything, so I think it's probably tight. spark around the point, so that may be a little bit of a bad condenser. Not quite as smoky. Look at all that crap out of the seat. I don't know what's up with that. Sounds like it's getting too much air. So the switch isn't too good. I just had to pull the wire on the battery to shut her down. It's got some gremlins, but it's gonna run. It does run. About cleared out now, except for the premix, I guess. I turned the air screw in, and that seemed to help quite a bit. It's idling better, and it's not racing. See, we've got the neutral on, and the charge, it comes on when before you start the engine, so it must be charging. So I don't know about the lights. I'm not seeing any lights. Okay, there's a tail light. Must have a gremlin or something. I checked the light bulb last night and it's good, so it must not be hooked up, but I do have a tail light here. Sounds pretty good. See if it'll idle down any. That's better. Piston slapping that at all. I do hear, I think, some pre-ignition, so maybe the points are not set right. I'm sure they're not. Or that's what it sounds like to me. A little ringy. Okay, she runs. See, the charging light is on, so that's checking to make sure the light's good, and the neutral light is on, of course. So that the charging light goes off when it's running. Let me see if I can get it going again. We'll test it and see what we're getting at the battery. Okay, so I'm at 1302. We're not even up for that high. Oh yeah. So it's putting out more than enough, maybe even too much. But that's all stuff that we'll check as we go along. But right now, just happy that it runs. Okay guys, there you have it. The YL2C is alive. It's not perfect, needs a little help, but we're going to do that for it. We're going to give it the help it needs. I'm not sure when we're really going to get onto it, but have ordered some parts. Can't remember what all, it's all little stuff. But anyhow, I'm sure we'll find other things that we need to try to find for it. And we'll be getting on the cable building video here pretty soon. That may even be a couple videos, I don't know. But hey, thanks for going along on the ride. And we'll see you next video.